Exercise. Let the neophyte place himself in a quiet place, away from the disturbances and distracting influences of the outside world. Let him assume a position of rest, relaxing the tension from muscles and nerves. Then, let him fix his attention upon his physical body. First, the body as a whole, and then, beginning at the feet, let him move the attention upward until the whole body has been included in attention, step by step, until the brain is reached. During this process, the neophyte will become aware, by degrees, that he is a something inside of the body, viewing and considering the latter in all of its details, instead of being identical with the body. There will be found a dawning realization that the body is but the physical envelope or sheath in which the ego dwells, or a garment which the ego has assumed for the conveniences of physical life. This realization will not come all at once, but will gradually dawn upon and in the consciousness, increasing by practice. When a degree of proficiency and realization of this stage has been acquired, then may the neophyte proceed to the next stage as follows. Let the neophyte now concentrate his attention upon his feet until he is able to regard them as but tools or instruments whereby the ego may walk in physical form. Then let him, using his imagination, realize that even if his feet were not there attached to the body, the ego would still be fully existent and in being, that although deprived of useful tools, the ego would still be the ego, unimpaired and undisturbed in its real being. Then bring the entire lower limbs into attention, and after fixing them firmly in consciousness, let the neophyte realize that these limbs are but instruments for physical progress, useful and important, but not indispensable for the being and reality of the ego. Let him see that if these limbs were not there, that the ego would still be complete and fully existent. Then let the neophyte bring into attention the pelvic organs, the reproductive organism, etc. And after realizing their uses and purposes important to physical life, let him realize that the integrity and being of the ego is in no way dependent upon them. Let him, in imagination, separate himself from them in consciousness, and thus realize that even if that part of the body were removed and missing, nevertheless, the ego would be fully existent in its entirety of being. Then, let the neophyte, in a similar manner, consider the abdominal organs, the stomach, the liver, etc. And while realizing their value and utility in physical life, let him also realize that they too are but physical instruments of the ego for certain purposes, and that the ego would dwell unimpaired in being, existence, and reality were they absent. Then let the neophyte likewise consider the chest organs, the lungs, etc. And while respecting and realizing their usefulness and wonderful adaptability to purpose, also realize that the ego would be fully existent and real, even if these organs or parts of the body were absent. Then let the neophyte pass on to the consideration of the head, with its various organs of sense, its brain centers and convolutions, the machinery of thought, and then realize that although it would be impossible to live as a physical being in the body without these organs, still, if they were absent, the ego would still be the ego, complete, existent, in reality, with integrity, unimpaired. Then let the neophyte again consider the whole body as one organism, the wonderful instrument of the ego, adapted for physical life. But let him fully realize that this wonderful machinery is but a created machine, in and through which the ego manifests physical life and activity, and that the ego is above, independent of, and apart from the physical body in the true sense, for it may dwell apart from and out of the body. After performing these mental exercises, throw the mind into and over the entire body and into and through all of its parts. The purpose of this concluding process being to re energize the physical organism, which has, in a measure, become devitalized during the analytical process. You will find that you will be able to recharge the body with vitality and make it stronger and more virile than it was before the exercise, after you once realize that it is but an instrument or machine which is used by and directed by the ego. The realization of the mastery of the body by the ego brings with it a new power of energizing and vitalizing the body or any part thereof. Throwing the attention to parts of the body after this realization has been gained tends to direct to the particular parts an increased supply of virile or vital energy. After having mastered the above exercise to a satisfactory degree, let the neophyte pass on to the following exercise.